And I think they have adopted me in a way because they've seen my story, which is a nice story. It's a story that is good to tell. You know, the guy that comes with his briefcase and nothing else other than dreams and goes on with a lot of success. You know, it's a little bit what you would call the American dream, isn't it?
Hello, everyone. I'm John Kernan. This is a special edition of RPM Tonight. While everyone in the country is trying to cope with the terrorist attacks on our nation, those of us in the racing world are now saying a prayer for Champ Car driver Alex Zanardi and his family. Zanardi is in a Berlin hospital in critical condition after losing both legs in a crash during today's running of the American Memorial in Germany. Alex underwent 3 hours of surgery this afternoon, and doctors say he is in much better shape than they could possibly have hoped for. He does have a concussion, however. The CAT scan was normal. Zanardi also suffered a minor fracture in his pelvis, but doctors say he suffered no injuries to his spine, abdomen, or neck. Zanardi, who had been leading the American Memorial, spun out while leaving the pits with 12 laps to go. His car was barely moving when it was slammed into by the car of Alex Tagliani. Tagliani's car was traveling between 180 and 200 miles an hour when it impacted Zanardi's car just behind the left front tire. Alex's team owner, Morris Nunn, says, "We are devastated by the extent of Alex's injuries, but we are so very thankful that he is on his way to surviving such a tremendous impact. He has quite a battle ahead of him, but knowing what a fighter Alex is, we're confident he'll be able to return home to be with his family and friends very soon." Card officials say x-rays show that Tagliani suffered no serious injuries. However, Tags was complaining of back pain. He is awake and alert in a Berlin hospital where he will be kept for observation for 24 to 48 hours. You know, it's almost incomprehensible to think about Alex Zanardi not driving a Champ Car anymore. During his first stint in the CART FedEx Championship Series, he captured our hearts and minds with his aggressive driving style and his genuine victory celebrations. When Alex Zanardi arrived on the Champ Car scene in 1996, he did so with little fanfare. In 25 Formula One starts over 4 years, Zanardi had managed a point-scoring finish just once. But Zanardi quickly served notice that American open-wheel racing was more suited to his aggressive style. Alex won the pole at Brazil in just his second race and captured his first win in his 9th start at Portland.
Here's the man of the hour as he makes the final turn around the carousel here and on to the main stretch as Alex Zanardi has taken the win here.
Zanardi would go on to capture 2 more wins in '96 on his way to a tie for second in the point standings. Alex would punctuate his rookie campaign with what would become the most famous pass in Champ Car history.
Oh, look at that! Here he comes, and he gets him! Can he get him back? Can he hang on? Oh, and look at this! Down through the boards on the final lap. And Alex Zanardi, with a brilliant move, takes the checkered flag from the pole and the win here at Laguna Seca.
In 1997 and '98, Zanardi dominated en route to back-to-back titles. The CART record book would become his resume as he set new marks for consecutive pole positions with 6 and tied the mark for consecutive wins with 4. But it was what Zanardi did after those wins that was drawing the attention of mainstream sports fans. His celebratory donuts have since become the standard in winter circles all over the country.
Donuts? He's asking the crowd, you want to see me go around?
Oh, he stalled the car.
He stalled the car. That's it. Let's push start him. What the heck?
Here's the technique. There you see it.
With his stock and his confidence at an all-time high, Zanardi decided to return to Formula One with the Williams team, the same team that had led 1995 CART champ Jacques Villeneuve to the world driving title in 1997. But the magic Zanardi had displayed in the 3 previous years was nowhere to be found. Alex failed to score a point in '99 and was released at year's end. After taking the 2000 season off, Zanardi decided to return to the site of his past glory, reuniting with his former engineer Morris Nunn for the 2001 season.
I know there's a lot of work in front of us that needs to be done, but me and Morris are big friends, and we are going to enjoy every single moment of the season in front of us, I hope.
But Alex has struggled, scoring points in just 4 of the season's first 14 races, leading to rumors that he would retire for good at season's end. Ironically, the 20 laps that Zanardi led in Germany marked the first time he had been out front all season.
Today's race in Germany marked Alex's 66th career Champ Car start. His 15 wins rank him 9th on the all-time wins list. 10 times he started from the pole position. Alex ranks 10th all-time in laps led with 1,447. 610 of those were led during his rookie season of 1996. Robin Miller was supposed to have been in Germany today covering the race. However, he is still in transit, and he joins us now on the phone from the airport in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Robin, I know you've had a chance to see just the horrific crash that Alex Zanardi went through earlier in the day. Was it the impact made worse because his car was not traveling very fast?
Well, I think so, John. Every time you look at a big crash and you see guys walk away, they're usually both going the same direction. And, you know, when they tangle, I mean, they hit the wall hard, but they're together. When you got a guy sitting there, a sitting duck like Alex was, and poor old Tagliani, I mean, Carpani just barely misses him, and then Tagliani's got nowhere to go, and he's going 180 to 190 miles an hour. I mean, there's just not any, there's absolutely nothing. The guy's just sitting there helpless, and you're hoping people miss you. And when you're hitting somebody, as good as those cars are, they're not, nobody's made to take a shot like those cars were.
The fact that CART has a traveling medical team and Dr. Olvey was along with the series, do you think that saved Alex's life?
I don't think there's any doubt about it, but you got to hope NASCAR was watching the way that Olvey and Trammell and those guys jumped on top of him and made sure. I mean, it's gory enough, but to think that he lost that much blood that quick, and those guys saved his, got him stabilized and got him in a helicopter and got him to Berlin. You know, because you've heard the horror stories of Rick Mears in Canada when they first got him to the Canadian hospital. And, I mean, it's just, you can't put into words and in the dollar figures what those guys, Olvey and Trammell and the CART medical staff, means to a race driver. And today was a perfect illustration.
Earlier this year, when we found out that Alex was coming back to the Champ Car circuit, we were all very excited and hoping to see Alex the Great, the return of Alex the Great. However, Robin, the season hadn't really been going that well for Alex until he was leading those laps during today's race. You had a chance to talk with him in Vancouver. Was he regretting coming back after sitting out a year?
He just kept talking about how it just wasn't any fun. I mean, he just was so frustrated because, you know, he's back 16th or 17th. He wasn't qualifying good. He was, you know, he had a couple good races, Cleveland, Toronto, and today he was having a good race. But I think that, you know, it wasn't about money. It was about he wanted to leave racing under his own terms, and he didn't like the way he left Formula One racing. But he said himself, John, when he came back here, he said, if I come back and win, they're going to go, so what? He was winning before. And if he doesn't win, they're going to go, what a dummy. Why did he come back to race after leaving the way he did? But you could just tell the guy didn't have that. I mean, Zanardi was the kind of guy that lit up a crowd, and he lit up the media because he was so personable, and he was so full of life, and he was so enthusiastic about his job. And I think most of that enthusiasm kind of been drained out of him by now.
Now, how much more difficult was his comeback attempt made because he did sit out the entire year of 2000?
Well, when you look at, he was pretty rusty. I mean, lots of times when him and Tony Kanaan, who's his teammate, would go out, Alex would be a second behind, usually right off the bat. It just didn't seem like the rust came off nearly as quick as we might have thought of. You set out a whole year, John. And I just think back to guys like Mark Donohue, who set out a race and then he came back to Formula One and lost his life. I mean, it seems like every time a guy retires or comes out of retirement or sits out a couple years, it doesn't end up the way. It doesn't end up like you would hope it would be, and the guy's never as good or as sharp or as on top of things as you'd hoped he'd be. And I know Zanardi, you know, he said, hey, if I didn't think I wasn't going to be out here, if I didn't think I deserved to be out here, I wasn't on top of things, I wouldn't be out here. But it was clear that year layoff really took its toll.
You mentioned about the great attitude, actually, that Alex has. Do you think that that's going to aid in making his recovery a little bit quicker than, say, someone else?
Yeah, you know, Morris Nunn was saying earlier this year, you know, Zanardi used to want to stay up all night and talk about chassis and ride heights and how we're going to make the car faster. And he said now all he wanted to talk about was his son, Nicolo. So I think the fact that he's married with a child and he's financially healthy for the rest of his life, and he had such a positive attitude about life that this is going to really maybe help this whole thing. Plus, he was in great physical condition. That probably helped save his life, too. But I think at least he'll have something, you know, he's got something to fall back on. And you know, and lots of times in racing, guys don't have 401ks, and things like this happen to them, and they end up spending the rest of their life like poor old Bob Hurt, who was always just going from place to place hoping somebody could help him. And at least Alex has the financial stability to make it to the rest of his life.
Well, Robin, we certainly appreciate you taking the time, and have a safe trip over to Europe.
John, sorry we had to talk about these circumstances, but I think he's a battler, and he'll battle back. So we'll talk to you next week.
All right, we'll talk to you later, Robin. RPM Tonight, we'll be back in just a moment. The opening ceremonies of today's American Memorial in Germany paid tribute not only to the event itself, but also to the victims of Tuesday's tragedies here in the United States. At the drop of the green flag, it was Kenny Breck taking the lead over pole sitter Gilles de Ferran on the outside going into turn number 1. Breck was still leading when contact with Bruno Junqueira sent him into the grass, handing the lead to Patrick Carpentier. Tony Kanaan grabbed the lead from Carpentier with an inside pass on lap 95, while Alex Zanardi followed to take second. Zanardi took the lead when Kanaan pitted himself with just 12 laps to go, giving the lead to Breck. But Alex spun as he left pit road, slid onto the track as we've showed you, where his car was smashed by the car of Alex Tagliani. Both drivers were transported to the hospital, and as you have heard, Tags is okay, but Alex lost both legs in the crash. Breck won the race, which finished under caution. Carpentier drove to a third-place finish, followed by Michael Andretti, who didn't arrive in Germany until early Friday morning. Rookie Tora Takagi completes the top 6 finishers. Scott Dixon, who had been suffering with a bout of food poisoning, drove to a 9th-place finish, followed by Paul Tracy. Bruno Junqueira finished 11th, with Helio Castroneves 12th. After the race, second-place finisher Max Pappas, who, like Zanardi, is from Italy, was thinking about his friend Alex.
Very difficult, you know, the emotions of the good results for Team Lear are completely overshadowed by what happened with my friend Alex, and you know, with what happened in the United States. You know, I really don't know what to say. I pray God that you know, that the good wins over the bad situation, and this is a sport event. We are, you know, showing people that with a goodwill you can achieve great goals in your life, and that's what Alex and all the people that they are successful always think about. So I pray for my friend Alex. This is the most important thing, and you know, for all the people in the United States, that you know, God take care of them.
Towns Bell drove to a 13th-place finish in his kart debut. He was followed by fellow Americans Mimo Gidley and Jimmy Vasser. Max Wilson finished in the 18th position, 5 laps down. Zanardi was credited with a 20th-place finish. And once again, if you have just joined us, Alex is in a Berlin hospital in critical but stable condition. He lost both of his legs in a crash with Alex Tagliani, who didn't suffer any serious injuries in the accident, which occurred near the end of the American Memorial. It is kind of hard to think about points, but they did complete the race, and with the win, Breck regained the lead in the chase for the championship. Defending series champ Gilles de Ferran sits second, 11 out of first. The top 4 drivers are separated by just 20 points. That's basically one race. Dario Franchitti is back in 6th. Now, I know we're not supposed to have favorites, but you can't help but like Alex Zanardi. His personality, quick wit, and wonderful smile won him numerous fans during his first stint as a Champ Car driver. We cheered for him as he won championships, and we felt sad when his return to Formula One didn't net him the success that he was searching for. And earlier this year, we were all excited to learn that Alex the Great had decided to return to Champ Cars, though his decision wasn't an easy one.
I got an ego. I'm not a perfect human being, but it's not just about that. The fact that I'm here tells you that finally I decided I wanted to do it, but I had terrible doubts because I really questioned myself, do I really want to do it? Am I really prepared to take a 22 races commitment, to leave my family home and not regret that along the way, and not think 3 races into the season, what the hell am I doing here? You know, I don't need it. I got a great family, I got a lot of money. Why, you know? And so how could I commit myself to such an important program if I wasn't absolutely 120% sure? And it just took a long time for me to realize that, yes, I was prepared to do that. On one side, it's not very logical for me to be here. From a career standpoint of view, it can't really help. Even if I win, nobody's gonna be shocked. I'm not saying surprised, but certainly not shocked. And if I don't, I'm gonna look like not very smart to put everything in discussion again. All the good I've done over here. But I guess it's more about having fun, passion, and love for what you do. I've been doing that for the past 20 years, and the year off I took last year helped me to find again that love, that passion for real racing. And I guess when I was thinking of real racing, this is the best formula I could think of. It's great to be in this paddock where you can fight shoulder to shoulder with one guy in the circuit and then have a glass of wine later on in the evening, and it's so good, you know. Having said that, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna have a soft approach and and be content with second place, but at this point of my career, I cannot find motivation in any other area, because for the life I intend to live, I got even too much money. So I couldn't find motivation in there. And I couldn't find motivation in needing a job, because I don't need one. I just need this for me, because this is what I love to do.
Marlo Klain has known Alex Zanardi for 5 years, and she joined us now from South Bend, Indiana. Marlo, Mo Nunn says they feel very fortunate that Alex survived such a tremendous impact. And when you look at the video of the crash, it really is amazing that he wasn't killed.
Oh, it was remarkable. I mean, I think anyone, as you said, who looked at that video of that crash today is absolutely amazed that he survived that wreck. And for Dr. Steve Olvey, who's CART's Director of Medical Affairs, who's seen a lot of wrecks over the years, for him to say that they are surprised in what good shape he is in after surgery today, I really think it says something about these cars and obviously the shape that Alex was in going into this race today. You know, a lot of it has been said this year about safety in auto racing, and a lot has been said about, you know, the Hans device and the head and neck injuries. And I think for Alex to survive this wreck and come away with the injuries, no internal injuries is what I'm understanding from Germany, it is absolutely amazing, John.
Yes, it is. This year has not really produced the results on the track that Alex would have liked. Was he having second thoughts about returning to the kart series, do you think?
I mean, everything that I've seen, really, he has been saying for the last couple of months, he's been saying that, you know, he's not quite sure what he's doing in 2002. There's been a lot of rumors over who would be in Alex's seat next year, and I don't think really any decisions had been made yet. And, you know, this wasn't the same Alex Zanardi that we knew when he was here for 3 years, Rookie of the Year, two-time kart champion, 15 wins, 10 poles. And this has been a very disappointing season for him. He's only had 3 top 10 finishes, only 2 top 10 starts, and I think that he certainly was not in a position that he would like to have been at this late stage of this season. He was having a great race, unfortunately, today, where he was obviously leading the race and running so well. He had been strong all weekend, where he even said that he absolutely loved this circuit, which Alex Zanardi saying that about an oval. We all know that he wasn't crazy about ovals, you know, going into this season.
CART was the only major American-based sports franchise to run this weekend. Do you think people are going to now second-guess that decision?
You know, I think it's difficult to second-guess that decision. You know, I think that if they were racing in this country this weekend or even in Canada, I think that, you know, obviously they should have called off the race. Everyone was really already in Germany. There wasn't a place to put it on the schedule after this weekend. But, you know, I mean, everybody except, I guess I should say, Michael Andretti was in Germany when everything happened on Tuesday. But I think CART was doing everything possible to play kind of the right role at this situation. They were going to donate the purse from this race, or they are donating the purse from this race to the relief fund. The drivers were wearing ribbons along with the teams. They had decals. You know, they had renamed this race to honor the victims of this tragedy. And I think CART really was doing everything possible to make, you know, a right circumstance in a tragic situation.
Well, Marlo, thank you very much, and it's nice to have you back at work.
Thanks, John.
RPM Tonight returns in a moment.
So Zanardi will head for the checkered flag and take the win.
There's no doubt that he made a tremendous impact ever since he arrived here.
But here's the man of the hour.
He's going to be missed by some and probably not a little bit by others.
Oh, look at him. Here he comes. Here he comes. And he gets him. Can he get him back? Can he hang on?
I think that Alex got a lot of bad criticism, unjustified, just because he came here and kicked everybody's ass, and some people got upset.
You saw the both cars were blocked slightly. Oh, that touches him, and the race leader is in the tires.
Once I think runner-up or third place and twice champion. speaks for itself. I mean, the guy is a very unique talent, and I think he's going to go on to achieve even greater things, perhaps.
Now just 10 car lengths separate Gilles de Ferran. Oh, less than that now. Oh, Alex Zanardi. What a move!
Alex combination being there in Team Ganassi with Monan, Honda engine, Firestone, Reynard. It's a particular combination, I think, that played out really well.
A 5.4-second stop, and Zanardi continues to lead.
And his hunger of success, you know, his will to win, I think they played the most.
Zanardi moving. Zanardi may have the advantage. Under 11 seconds, and he does have the lead. The pit work has paid off for Ganassi.
But I think one of the things that is not going to happen is I don't think we're going to keep eating so much pasta, you know, next year.
I'm Italian. I eat a lot of pizza, but I don't drive a pizza truck.
You know, I mean, for a guy that's as animalistic as he is on the racetrack, he's about as soft as they come outside of the car.
He's a great guy. He won 8 races and won 2 championships. How can I say about that? I wish when I grow up, I want to be like him. So.
My story, which is a nice story, is a story that is good to tell. You know, the guy that comes with his briefcase and nothing else other than dreams and goes on with a lot of success. And it's a little bit what you would call the American dream, isn't it? I mean, it's a good story to tell.
In Formula One qualifying at Monza, Juan Montoya captured his second pole position in the last 3 events. He toured the 3.6-mile circuit in 1 minute, 22.216 seconds. Ferrari's Rubens Barrichello qualified in the second position, followed by the Schumacher brothers. Michael third at 1 minute, 22 and some change. Mika Hakkinen, who announced Friday he will not race next season, qualified in the 7th position, 123.394. Kimi Räikkönen, who will take over Hakkinen's seat at McLaren, qualified in the 9th spot. And don't forget, you can see the German 500K on Monday at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. On RPM Tonight, Monday night at 6, we'll have the latest on Alex Zanardi's condition plus Formula One highlights. And once again, if you're just joining us, Alex Zanardi is in critical condition in a Berlin hospital after losing both legs in a crash during today's German 500. But doctors say he is in much better shape than anyone could have hoped. And that is certainly some very good news to leave you with. Thank you for watching this special edition of RPM Tonight. We'll see you Monday at 6 Eastern. Good night, everybody.